ciLmi here of Nexience Gaming, just bringing to you a short highlights video of JSpaydz' win in the Doseplay Pro Series a couple Thursdays ago. Now rather than give you 2 hours gameplay footage, I thought I'd do like a key highlights video, put something in more bite size and show, what I think are the key moments of the game, bit of commentary of his gameplay and whatnot, and go forth from there. So ironically, his first matchup in this was ultimately who would win the competition, I believe, against our other player, Bapinda Ultimate 21. Now, I would normally highlight something so early on as the mulligans, but I really have to emphasize the importance of having wild growth and a decent curve against warrior, because the way druid beats warrior is winning in turns like 4, 5, 6 and 7 the mid game by outpacing warrior with this ramped mana. So the only reason you would ever really coin wild growth in most scenarios is because you have a shade or a good turn 3 play. So what he's done in this instance is gone for the throat. He's coined the wild growth because he's got a turn 3 play, a turn 4 play, and even a turn 5 play on curve if the weapon is played. So, I thought I'd highlight that because this is going to be a really big thing for the sake of the game. So now he just plays the shade on curve, and shade is one of those things sort of brawl that warrior really struggles to deal with. So, and we'll see later on how detrimental it is. So here we have, moving along, the 3-2 was dropped off the shredder, by the way. So then we have the Harrison Jones killing the weapon. Now, albeit doing a bit of damage to his minions, he gets to do a lot of damage in the process, get an extra card draw, all those kind of things, while keeping shade revealed. So, although it's bad he equips another Death Bite, he cops another 5 damage, putting himself to 22 already in turn 6. The shade continues to grow, and then he gets that extra 3 damage in from the other drop-off shredder. I think it's particularly important in winning the damage in the mid-game. So, here we are. The shade that I was talking about, the ramped mana that I was talking about, all the little bits of damage here and there led up to what's, I believe, a really well spotted exact lethal. So swipe, shade off, innovate, hero power. And it's a really, really good way to just emphasize how that wild growth into shade and just that ramped mana turn 4, 5, 6 is what can lead to these really quick games where even though warrior's beating you on card advantage, you have a masked shade, you have things like Savage Roar, you can just blow them out of the game with the ramped mana and that little bit of advantage you have in speed. So now we go to the next game here, where it's his Paladin, his Secret Paladin. I think it's more of an aggressive list against Ultimate 21's Druid. So here we have an innovated swipe, which doesn't actually look too good for JSpaydz here. What comes off the shred is pretty good though, I think at least. A Fairy Dragon. So next turn he top decks the Knife Juggler. Now this is really relevant for the purpose of the game because you have Knife Juggler, hero power. So you're getting 4 or 5 damage here if you're including the weapon hit and playing Competitive Spirit. So short of a second swipe, this board's going to be really hard to clear. But look at his mana. It's 5 mana, going to turn 6 Mysterious Challenger. So it's these 2 turns here that quite literally win him the game. Being able to recover post board clear from the swipe extremely well. So all Ultimate 21's able to do is create a shade, hero power up, and Jackson must be quite literally licking his chops at this point, for lack of a better term. So the Competitive Spirit goes off, meaning there's still 1 Competitive Spirit in deck for Mysterious Challenger anyway. So he's already got 8 damage on board there, 9 damage if you include the weapon. Mysterious Challenger now, and the full Christmas tree is what exactly is what happens. So the Christmas tree refers to the 5 secrets going around the hero, kind of looking like the top of a Christmas tree. I know, it doesn't make much sense, but the point of it is, he's already got 8 damage on board here, the Druid's at 10, you have a 4-3 that can't be targeted with basically anything, a 4-3 and a 6-6. I even remember screenshotting this at the time, it was a rather impressive board state. So, Ultimate 21 heroes up, knowing that he's going to run into Noble Sacrifice, and then the plethora of secret sequencing begins. So this goes off, then I'm not sure if Avenge or the Repentance goes off first. So we have the Avenge going off, buffing the Fairy Dragon. Right, so then we wait for the next secret. It's the Redemption, sorry, not Repentance. Redemption, that brings back the 2-1. Running through the motions again. Fairy Dragon actually got big enough for a BGH 2 ensure, which is rather funny. And then Repentance, reducing BGH's health to 1. So being able to clear and have that 8 damage on the board post-board swipe is what led to Mysterious Challenger blowing out the game in terms of damage. There's not much Druid can do once falling that far behind. So that's game there. Pretty much I'm emphasizing that for a pretty self-evident reason. So it goes forth there. In the last game that he needs to win to grab the entire series, he top decks a Polymorph rather fortunately. So it's a pretty good play here, where he polymorphs the Sludge Belcher. He's got his ice block down. He's able to run into the Ancient Allure, steal the Shade, and I have to actually make Druid waste resources because obviously Shade's going to grow. See, one of the ways this particular Fatigue Major list can actually beat Druid is through cards like Sylvanas, seeing they can struggle due to things such as Force of Nature, Savage Roar combos. A lot of damage can get done quickly. So at this point, Now JSpaydz has played a duplicate, and you want to get the Thorson off the board being Ultima 21, because if you kind of let those discounts continue, you're going to get blown out of the game by really cheap removal spells and everything else. But the catch-22 with that is getting that off the board is just going to give him 2 more through the duplicate. I'm pretty sure Ultima would know that it is a duplicate as well. It's just one of those unfortunate things, because if you leave it there, you're just going to get the discounts regardless. So you're putting your opponent in position, in a kind of a lose-lose position, you know, by absolutely having your hand loaded up. So Ultima 21's considering what to do. JSpaydz has set this up beautifully with the duplicate, putting him, as I said, in what I think is a relative lose-lose position. So we continue on. He's wondering what to do. He ends up having to kill it, right? So it gets duplicated. Jackson spends the next turn thinking about what to do. He plays a Thorson, decides to play Frost Nova, plays an Acolyte to be mana efficient, you know, get those draws in. So now that he's frozen his opponent's board, he gets more discounts. And what's really relevant about this discount, and why I'm highlighting it, is Antonidas and Flamestrike going to 5 respectively for a massive turn 10. So even though he's put Sylvanas on the board, it's just a matter of crashing Antonidas, Flamestrike, completely clear that board, and you know, you put your opponent in a terrible position, because Druid's lost board again, and your hand's going to start getting loaded with fireballs. Now, even though Ultima was actually able to deal with this Antonidas, Alexstrasza came basically a turn or 2 after, and he couldn't actually deal with Alexstrasza, ironically. So the face damage is what's relevant here. So we see him as what I think is 19 health from what I can see. So you're doing 8 damage there, Frostbolt, Fireball, and you know, I believe we have another exact lethal there as well. So, you know, Sylvanas leading to the board clear, Antonidas getting that extra fireball, the discounts from the Thorisons and the duplicate all led up to that eventual lethal against Druid, a particularly hard matchup. I'm highlighting this early game because the Druid starts slow and Divine Favor actually refills his hand. Now the problem that aggro decks such as this Paladin list can have is you run out of cards against these control decks, and if you lose the board and have low cards, there's little way to come back. So now, with this loaded hand, here's another really relevant thing. Now, nothing against Juzzy, because this is really hard to play around, but the one Repentance in his deck happened to be the secret he had. He puts the Druid of the Claw on 1 health. This is extremely relevant because now we have a Mysterious Challenger that's going to come down, and we're also going to have a secret that we're able to play because there are some 1/ofs in the deck, meaning having that 1 secret in the hand means we can have 4 secrets, fill out our mana completely, but almost more relevantly, the Druid of the Claw was on 1 HP, so a 1/1 simply able to take it out, and you gain complete initiative while having the Druid on 12. We're seeing a correlation here between the aggression of this deck and the way it can blow out Druid, just by maintaining a little bit of board presence from turns, say 3 to 6, 7 onwards, while getting the Druid life total consistently lower and lower. So we see a concede there against his opponent Juzzy. Now, into the next game that Jackson takes. This is really relevant because Druid of the Claw is one of those mid-range cards that skews the Warrior versus Druid matchup kind of in Druid's favour. Now you see here, he equipped a Death Spite, had to hit the Druid of the Claw once, which means he's taken 4 damage, Druid of the Claw is going to hit again, and JSpaydz plays a sticky minion, and then he's going to have to hit it again with the weapon, meaning he takes 12 damage. Now you see JSpaydz' hands loaded with double Savage Draw, and this is one of those matchups where taking 12 damage from a 5-mana minion probably isn't the way you want to play the game, and this is how, regardless of, you know, Warrior sometimes having the advantage in cards, this is how one of these kinds of lethals is achieved. It doesn't need Force of Nature here because there's the Innovate double Savage Draw. While it's fortunate to have those draws, like I was highlighting in the previous little clip there, getting 12 damage done to you and losing a Death Spite in the process, all for an investment of Druid's 5 ramped mana in most cases, can be utterly detrimental to Warrior. This is how you fall behind in damage. Even though he was slowly taking board back, he loses, you know, largely by virtue of that 12 damage as well. So into the next game we have here, we have Warrior vs Fatigue Mage, and we have a duplicate that JSpaydz played on turn 3, coined out of Belcher. Now again, for Juzzy, this is particularly unfortunate because it's really hard to play around duplicate when your opponent has 1 minion on the board. Now, you get the little slime, and he has 3 Belchers now, because he happened to draw another one, and this is what's going to set the pace for the rest of the game and actually allow Fatigue Mage to win what I believe is a considerably hard matchup sometimes due to the sheer armor that the Warrior can get. So we see here, behind one of his Sludge Belchers, he actually plays a Thorison, so this is when the Mage deck really starts to shine. He gets the large discounter cards in his hand, but he's protected by 2 taunts as well. Warrior manages to deal with the Thorison. We see the last Sludge Belcher in play. Now, he's able to draw the second Polymorph, so he doesn't feel too uncomfortable about using one on Sylvanas, because Sylvanas is one of the only ways that Warrior can really start taking this board back of minuscule creatures, right? So, the Belchers are all dealt with, and it's had to have led Juzzy using Gromash and Dr. Boom and most of his big threats. So this is probably one of the turning points in the game. The Frost Nova, and what's really important is the Explosive Sheep. Now he pings the Grom in the case that Rag isn't able to finish it off or anything like that. We see the Rag hit, there's a 66% chance it's going to be a good result. Hits the Grom, great result. Now you're going to see why playing the Explosive Sheep and the Frost Nova was extremely relevant. This is such a good line of play from JSpaydz, and this is why I've let it play out in the video. This is what led him to beat Warrior, as you'll see. You'll see it on. So now, this is Juzzy's turn. He's contemplating what to do with his Frozen Boom here. Alright, so he plays Shield Maiden, puts himself to 9 mana, almost acting like he has a Shield Slam, but he doesn't in this case, has an Alexstrasza as champion. So he's not able to deal with Ragnaros, luckily enough. So this is where the beauty of the Explosive Sheep comes in. You've got 2 Flame Strikes in your hand, and you can afford to ping. So the only way to deal with Dr. Boom and not rely on Rag actually hitting it and, you know, having a favourable result again, you can Flame Strike here, run your Explosive Sheep in, does the necessary damage to kill Boom, clear the entire board, you ping his face, and you peel off every bit of armor that he's got up until this point with an Ice Block down and an extra Ice Block in your hand, and this is one of the ways you win the game. You get through the card advantage of the Warrior, you go up on cards, and you can sit on these big threats. Now that Rag's consequently dealt with, we see it's led to a turn where the Warrior's getting really low on cards. We have an Antonidas and a Frost Nova, so the game's looking extremely good at this point. The only thing you're particularly worried about, I guess, is Brawl. So seeing Juzzy's response to this, draws the Shield Block, not bad if he gets into one of his low removal spells. He's touching the card that he's had in his hand practically the whole game, which you're going to start to think it's going to be Brawl, couldn't have been BGH because of Ragnaros before. Okay, it's Brawl. Unfortunate, he's got a 33% chance for this to backfire in his face. So the odds are in Juzzy's favour. JSpaydz wins the Brawl, lucky for him. And short of, you know, getting able to proc and execute, and I'm pretty sure he used both of his Shield Slams that game, this game's practically over. So he armors up, passes, and, you know, the fireballs begin. This is really, even if you haven't played Hearthstone before, this is almost one of those turns that anyone could do, because, you know, Antonidas gets you fireballs for every spell, so he just starts hitting his face with as much damage as possible. And the beauty of this is the board's clear, so he actually gets 5 damage in through Antonidas actually hitting his face. You know, the game is practically over at this point. You've got Ice Blocks, you've got enough fireballs for any removal, you've even got Fireball Sylvanas to steal something huge like Ysera if need be. Total control. Juzzy uses Blackwing Corruptor on his own face. He knows the game's over, scoops it up, and that was the last game in the actual Pro Series that led JSpaydz to his victory. So I was just showing you how, especially that Explosive Sheep line of play, was really thinking 2 or 3 turns ahead, almost life coach style. Thinking about the repercussions of, you know, Rag maybe not going particularly well for you, and just preparing to deal with absolutely any situation that puts you in. I was really impressed with that line of play. Really well played by JSpaydz, our Nexience player, who ended up taking out first place in that Doseplay Pro Series. And I hope you guys actually liked, if you have gotten to the end, liked this kind of bite-sized commentary of what I think are the key moments in particular games. Rather than have you sit there through entire Fatigue Mage games and watch 2 hours, just thought I'd do something a little more condensed. You know, something that you don't have to commit arduous amounts of time on to actually see the crux of what happened, which is what I tried to show in this video. So, sorry in the delay in getting this up. It's been about a week and a half or so since he won the tournament, but better late than never. So we're going to be rolling out some content, some kind of how-to guides during the week involving a couple of our players. Well, we only have 2, involving Control Warrior and whatnot. All these kind of decks that are appearing post-TGT meta, we're just going to have a real analysis and really kind of show the newer players how to play these kind of decks. Anyway, rather than ramble on about what we're going to do, we'll let the actions speak louder than words. And I'll remind you, nexience.com.au. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, do what you got to do. We're 5 likes off the Facebook page actually reaching 100. So if anyone's gotten to this point in the video, I'd like to thank you all a lot for supporting us and watching. And yeah, peace out.